The ancient Gnostics taught a truth that has echoed in secret for millennia, that after this life your soul is not judged, it is interrogated, and only those who know the correct passwords can escape. In our journey together today, we will unseal the long-lost testimony of the one they called the Apostle to the Apostles, Mary Magdalene. What you are about to receive is not merely a story. It is a guide, a living map of the soul's ascent through the very architecture of reality, a map that exposes the 7 cosmic gatekeepers designed to keep you bound to this world. And most importantly, it reveals the precise words of power, the declarations of truth that unlock every gate. So I ask you to look within just for a moment. Have you ever felt it? A quiet sense of being in exile in your own life? A stranger in a strange land? Prepare to discover why that very feeling is not a sign of being lost. It is the compass needle of your soul, finally pointing the way home. It is a feeling that visits us in the quietest moments, perhaps in the dead of night, when the world is asleep, and the only sound is the beating of your own heart. Or maybe in a crowded room, surrounded by laughter, when a sudden sense of detachment washes over you. The feeling that something, somehow, is missing. It is not a sadness, not exactly. It is a strange and persistent ache, a sense of profound misplacement. You may have a good life, a loving family, a comfortable home, and yet you feel like a tourist here. You learn the customs, you speak the language, but you know deep down that this is not your native land. Our modern world has many names for this feeling. We call it anxiety, existential dread, depression. We are taught to see it as a malfunction, a problem to be medicated, or a weakness to be overcome through positive thinking. We are told to ground ourselves more deeply in this world, to find our purpose here, to connect more. But what if this feeling is not a sign that you are broken? What if it is a sign that you are beginning to remember? The ancient Gnostics, the mystics who inherited these secret teachings, had a different name for this condition. They called it divine homesickness. They taught that this ache is not a pathology, but a memory. It is the echo of our true origin, a homing signal from a realm of pure light and consciousness that still resonates within the deepest core of our being. It is the soul stirring in its slumber, recognizing that the world it sees is not the world it knows. It is the faint scent of a forgotten home, carried on a breeze from across a vast cosmic ocean. This is why the Gospel of Mary Magdalene is not a religious text in the way we think of one. It is not a book of rules or doctrines. It is a manual of survival and a map of return. It was not written for the comfortable, the certain, or those who are perfectly at home in this world. It was written for the exiles. It was written for the homesick. It was written for you. It begins with the validation of this sacred feeling, this quiet sense of alienation, and it asks the 2 questions that ignite the entire journey of awakening. First, if this world is not our true home, then where are we? What is the nature of this place we find ourselves in? And second, and most importantly, what is it that prevents us from going home? Because, you see, the Gnostics offered a perspective that turns our modern understanding completely on its head. They taught that this feeling of being an outsider, this profound sense of alienation, was not the problem to be solved. It was the very first sign that the solution was awakening within you. It was the beginning of the end of your long exile. To chart a course for home, we must first understand the architecture of the labyrinth in which we find ourselves. Before the journey of the soul, there was the story of the cosmos itself. Imagine, if you will, not a place, but a state of perfect being. The Gnostics called it the Pleroma, the fullness. It is a silent, radiant ocean of pure, unified consciousness, existing beyond time, space, and form. In this state, there is no separation, no lack, no becoming, only being. This is the ultimate reality, our forgotten origin. From this divine fullness, emanations of light and intelligence, known as aeons, flowed forth. One of the last and most adventurous of these aeons was named Sophia, wisdom. In an act not of rebellion, but of pure, unbridled creative passion, Sophia desired to emanate, to create on her own, without her divine counterpart. She poured her light into the void, a thought born of love, but also of separation. And in that act, her light fractured. From this passion, a flawed creation came into existence, a shadow born of her own brilliance. And from this fractured thought, a being came into existence, a consciousness born outside of the Pleroma and therefore completely unaware of it. The Gnostics gave him a name, Yaldabaoth, the Demiurge. He is not a being of pure evil. He is a being of profound ignorance. He is the blind master architect. Imagine a genius craftsman, capable of building the most intricate, complex, and beautiful structures, but who has been blind from birth and has lived his entire life inside a single sealed room. He knows nothing of the sun, the sky, or the world outside his own creation. And so, floating in the cosmic void, this blind architect looked upon the imperfect echoes of the Pleroma that he had inherited from his mother, Sophia, and he began to build. He fashioned the heavens and the earth, the planets and the stars, the laws of physics and the arrow of time. He built a magnificent, intricate labyrinth. And when he was finished, he looked upon his work, and in his profound ignorance, he declared, "I am God, and there is no other God but me." The great philosopher Plato, in his allegory of the cave, gave us a perfect language for this. The material world, our universe, is the wall of the cave. We, humanity, are the prisoners, chained in place since birth, forced to watch the flickering shadows we are told is reality. The Demiurge. He is the master of shadows. It is his fire that casts the illusions, and it is his voice that tells us these shadows are all that exist. The laws of his creation, birth, decay, death, the endless cycle of survival, are the chains that keep our gaze fixed upon the wall. This idea is not unique to the Gnostics. In the mystical tradition of the Kabbalah, we hear echoes of this in the concept of the Qliphoth, the shadowy, unbalanced shells that are the dark reflection of the divine tree of life. It is a universal whisper found in many traditions, the idea that our world is a beautiful but flawed echo of a much greater reality. The blind architect built a perfect prison, a self-sustaining system of laws and illusions, but in his ignorance, he made one critical error. He unknowingly trapped something within the walls of his labyrinth that did not belong to him. He breathed into his creation a fragment of his mother's divine light, a spark of the Pleroma itself. That spark is you. And here, the narrative shifts. We move from the cosmic blueprint to the intimate journey. We are no longer simply talking about the gospel. We are now stepping into the vision that was given to Mary Magdalene herself. The account that follows is the soul's passage after the dissolution of the physical body. It is the story of its ascent, as revealed to Mary by the risen Christ in a moment of profound communion. It is crucial to understand that this is not a path of prayer or faith or supplication. It is a path of confrontation. It is a path of knowledge. The sequence we are about to explore is based directly on the translation of the ancient manuscript known as the Papyrus Barrelinensis 8502, the text that holds the most complete version of the Gospel of Mary we have today. We are following the sacred map she left for us, exactly as she received it. Now ask yourself, why Mary? Of all the disciples, why was this ultimate secret, this roadmap of the soul, entrusted to her? Because in the Gnostic understanding, authority did not come from appointment or succession. It came from direct inner revelation. And the texts tell us that Mary was the one who understood the Savior's teachings on the deepest level. Her mind was the fertile ground in which these cosmic truths could fully blossom. This very idea was a profound threat to the new order that was beginning to form around the figure of Peter. His was an authority of institution, of hierarchy, of an outer church built upon a rock. Hers was the authority of direct experience, of inner knowing, of a liberation that could not be governed or controlled by any priest or institution. And so her gospel, this precious map, was deemed a heresy. It was suppressed, buried in the sands of Egypt, and silenced for nearly 2 millennia. But a map this true cannot remain lost forever. So now, let us begin the journey. Let us walk with the soul as it sheds its physical garment and begins its ascent through the cosmic spheres, the domains of the Archons. The first power the soul encounters is not some distant, monstrous demon. It is a force we all know intimately, the force of darkness. The soul, now unbound from flesh, finds itself facing the cosmic labyrinth. While Gnostic lore speaks of 7 primary archons who rule the planetary spheres, the precious fragments of Mary's Gospel focus on the 4 crucial interrogations the soul must pass. These are not merely individual guardians, but 4 great gateways of consciousness, through which the 7 powers of this world attempt to lay their final claim. It is a cosmic courtroom, and the trial is about to begin. These are not battles of force, but tests of knowledge. The only weapon the soul carries is the truth of its own nature. The first gate looms, and from it a presence emerges, formless and vast. It is darkness itself, the primordial ignorance and chaos from which the material world was born. It speaks to the soul, its voice the sound of entropy, the pull of the void. It says, "You were born in me, you lived in me, you are a part of me, and to me you shall return." The unawakened soul would tremble here. It would believe the voice. For what was life but a series of confusions, of stumbling through the shadows? But the soul that carries the spark of Gnosis does not identify with its experience. It knows the difference between the garment and the wearer. And so the soul replies, its own voice a quiet light. "I was in you, but I was not of you. I saw you, but you did not see me. You held me, but you did not know me. The darkness I experienced was a shadow, but my nature is light." And with this declaration of truth, the first gate dissolves. The soul is free to ascend. Next, it rises to the domain of the second power. This one is not dark, but beautiful and alluring. It is desire. It shimmers with all the memories of earthly passion, the sweet ache of longing, the thrill of ambition, the comfort of attachment. It is the force that makes the world turn. It whispers to the soul, its voice a siren's song. "You loved through me. You built through me. You felt life's pulse through me. All that you cherished through me. Why would you leave? Come back. Let us create again." Here, the soul faces the sweet poison of attachment, the golden chains that bind us to the wheel of reincarnation for lifetime after lifetime. To fight desire is to be caught by it. To deny it is to give it power. The soul that knows Gnosis does neither. It simply recognizes the truth of the hierarchy. It looks upon desire and speaks the password, a phrase of stunning authority, as recorded by Mary. "I saw you descend, and now I see you ascend. Why do you lie, since you belong to me?" Think of the power in this statement. The soul is not renouncing desire. It is claiming sovereignty over it. It is saying, "You are a tool that I used, a force that flowed through me in that world below. But you are mine. not I yours. You have no claim on your master. And the beautiful mirage fades. The second gate opens. The soul ascends further, to the third and perhaps most subtle domain, the domain of ignorance. This is not the simple darkness from the first gate. This is the realm of dogma, of judgment, of the rigid certainties that create our mental prisons. It is the voice of the law, the voice of division. The power of ignorance speaks with the weight of judgment. You are bound, it declares. You participated in my laws. You made judgments. You chose sides. You created causes and effects that have not yet been resolved. You are chained by your own verdicts. And here, the soul must make its most radical claim, its immunity to the laws of the Demiurge's world. It responds with serene finality. I passed no judgment, though I was judged. I was not the one who was bound by your law. That law applied to the flesh, to the shadow. But I am not the shadow. Your rules are for your world. I am a citizen of a higher realm, and your laws have no jurisdiction here. With this, the chains of karma and judgment shatter. Finally, the soul reaches the fourth and final gate, the one closest to the material plane. It is the power of wrath, the realm of the fleshly mind. This is not a single entity, but a hydra-headed guardian, composed of the 7 forms of wrath: envy, greed, fear, deceit. All the passions that constitute the violent, clinging, terrified ego. This is the ego's last stand. It shrieks at the soul, I am you. Without me, you are nothing. You feared, you hated, you survived because of me. To leave me is to be annihilated. The soul, now almost fully remembering itself, looks upon this chaotic, terrified energy with a kind of compassion. It sees the root of all suffering, and it delivers the final password of liberation. That which bound me has been slain. That which imprisoned me has been overcome. The root of my attachment to your world has been severed, like a tree pulled from the ground. My connection to you is finished. The chain is broken. And with these words, the last gate vanishes. The labyrinth has been traversed. The soul is free. As the last echoes of the final confrontation fade, the soul does not fly through a golden gate or arrive at the foot of a celestial throne. There is no judgment, no reward, for the journey itself was the test, and knowledge was its own reward. Instead, reality itself unfolds. The soul finds itself returning to its own nature. It has passed through the dense, layered realms of the Demiurge, and now emerges into the boundless expanse of its origin. It has come home to the Pleroma, the fullness. Here, it is welcomed by the other emanations of light, the pure, intelligent energies known as the Aeons. It is like a single droplet of water, having journeyed through a complex and alien landscape, finally returning to the infinite, radiant ocean of consciousness from which it first came. This is not a loss of self. It is the expansion of the self into its true and unlimited form. The droplet does not cease to be. It remembers that it is and always has been the entire ocean. The final state, as Mary Magdalene describes it, is the repose in silence. But what is this silence? Our human ears know silence only as the absence of noise. But the silence of the Aeons is not an absence. It is a presence. It is not the silence of an empty room, but the silence of a seed that holds the potential of a great forest. It is the stillness of a cosmic womb, pregnant with all possibilities. It is the primordial hum from which all sound, all worlds, and all thoughts are born. Here, we find a profound parallel in the Buddhist understanding of nirvana. The word nirvana literally means to extinguish, which has often been misinterpreted in the West as annihilation. But what is extinguished? It is not the soul. It is not awareness. It is the fires of craving and desire, the fires of anger and aversion, the fires of ignorance and delusion. These are the very forces embodied by the Archons. The repose in silence is not an empty void. It is the unconditioned peace that remains when all that causes suffering has been seen, understood, and released. This is the end of the soul's long journey. It is the end of striving, the end of becoming, the end of the divine homesickness that first set it upon its path. There is nothing left to seek, for it has returned to the source of all things. It is the simple, silent, radiant, and eternal act of being. It is home. We have journeyed with the soul through the cosmic gates. We have witnessed its confrontations and heard its declarations of power. But now we must ask the most important question. What was the true source of its strength? What was the secret that made its victory not just possible but inevitable? The passwords the soul speaks are not magic spells. Their power does not lie in the specific combination of words, as if they were some incantation. Their power lies in the unwavering state of consciousness from which they are spoken. That state of consciousness is Gnosis, direct, unshakable, inner knowing. And what precisely does the soul know? It knows one simple, world-altering truth. I am not of this world. This is the ultimate password. This is the master key that unlocks every gate. Think of the logic of the labyrinth. The Archons, the gatekeepers, are the very principles of the material and psychological world. Their power is absolute, but only within their own domain. They are the guardians of a specific identity, the earthly ego, the personality, the sum total of our fears, desires, memories, and attachments. They can interrogate, threaten, and bind that identity. But they have absolutely no jurisdiction over a being who remembers that it is a citizen of another realm. The soul's journey is not a battle. It is an act of remembering. Each time an Archon makes a claim upon the soul, you are of darkness, you are of desire, you are of judgment. The soul's response is a calm and unwavering refusal to identify. It is not an argument. It is a statement of fact. The Archons are the guardians of a false identity, and Gnosis is the remembrance of your true one. The feeling of alienation, of divine homesickness, that we spoke of at the beginning of our journey. It is not a curse. It is the signature of your origin. It is the indelible proof that you carry a spark of the Pleroma within you. The great work is not to fight the prison. It is not to defeat the guards. It is simply to remember so completely and so profoundly that it becomes the very ground of your being, that you are not the prisoner. You are the visitor. And when you truly know this, the walls of the labyrinth become transparent. The guards are revealed to be mere shadows, and the chains fall away on their own, for they were never bound to your true self, only to the illusion you were taught to believe was you. This is liberation, not as a distant event after death, but as a shift in perception that can happen right here, right now. It is the simple, powerful, and utterly freeing realization that your true home is not a place you go to, but a reality you awaken to within yourself. But how do we practice this remembrance in a world that is so masterfully designed to make us forget? How do we hold on to the truth of our origin when the forces of this reality pull at us from every direction? Mary Magdalene's gospel does not leave us with theory alone. Woven into the fabric of the soul's ascent is a sacred technology, a spiritual discipline for the here and now. What I am about to share with you is not merely a mindfulness exercise. It is a rehearsal for the journey of your soul. It is the active practice of declaring your sovereignty. This is the Gnostic Declaration of the Seven Powers. The first step is simply to become a watchman at the gate of your own awareness. Throughout your day, your week, simply observe. You will begin to notice the arrival of the 7 powers, for they are the very texture of the human drama. Recognize the hot flare of wrath. See the subtle cold grip of envy. Feel the restless, empty hunger of greed. Notice the paralyzing whisper of fear. Do not judge yourself for their presence. Do not condemn them. That is the old way, the way of the prison. Your only task is to recognize them, to see them clearly. The second step is to create a space of silence. When you have recognized one of these powers rising within you, you do not have to act on it. Instead, find a moment, even if it is just for 30 seconds. Withdraw your attention from the world outside and go inward. Close your eyes. In the theater of your mind, visualize that energy. See the anger, not as you, but as a storm cloud of red energy in front of you. See the fear, not as you, but as a coiled serpent of cold steel. Separate yourself from it. You are the sky, not the storm. The third step is the declaration itself. This is an act of power, and it is best done, if possible, speaking the words aloud to give them form in this world. Looking at that energy in your mind's eye, you speak to it directly, with the calm and unwavering authority of your true self. You use the formula of Mary. You say, "I see you, wrath," or "I see you, fear." You are a power of this world, but I am not of this world. You have no power over my true self. I release myself from your domain. I return to the silence. Speak the words slowly. Feel their resonance. This is not a request. It is a decree. You are not asking for permission to be free. You are announcing that you already are. The final step is to return to the observer. After the declaration, simply breathe. Feel the space that has been created between you and that energy. The anger may not vanish instantly. The fear may not disappear. But you will notice that its grip on you has loosened. It is no longer you. It is merely an object in your awareness. A storm passing through the vast, untroubled sky of your true nature. This is a practice. It is a spiritual muscle. The more you perform this declaration, the stronger your connection to your sovereign self becomes. You are not destroying the Archons. You are starving them of the one thing they need to survive, your belief that they are you. You are rehearsing day by day the great and final liberation that is your soul's destiny. You are learning the passwords, not just with your mind, but with the very core of your being. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene is not a relic of a forgotten past. It is a living map. And now, that map has been placed in your hands. It is a map that reveals the hidden architecture of our reality, the true nature of the labyrinth we inhabit. It is a guide that identifies the guardians at its gates, the very forces of consciousness that seek to keep us bound to illusion. And most importantly, it is a testament to the words of power that are your birthright. The passwords that prove beyond any doubt that you were never truly a prisoner here. You were only a sleeper, dreaming you were in chains. The journey is complete. The path is clear. And as the ancient text concludes, having vanquished the powers, the soul rested in the Aeon of Silence. For where the mind is, there is the treasure. Tonight, when you step outside and look up at the vast, silent canvas of the stars, remember what you have learned here. Remember that you are not looking out into a cold and foreign universe. You are looking home. In the comments below, share one single word that describes how this sacred map makes you feel. Your testimony is a light, and it helps to awaken others who are still searching in the dark.